recording option. I didn't. All the materials you will get, in the LMS. Today I have put 3 material: course outline, the course description, and today's session, the PowerPoint, plus the 2019 annual report, which is issued by the Ministry of Finance. So I just downloaded it and uploaded to the LMS. Basically, there are 14 weeks. Of course, first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6 weeks I will be taking. First session is, of course, introduction. Then we will get the overview of financial management system in the country, planning, reporting documents, including financial management cycle, etc. Then we will be discussing 2 important topics: constitutional provision related to public finance and delegation of financial authority. This time what I will do is I will little bit emphasize on the finance aspect rather than accounting aspect, Budget Appropriation and Public Finance Act and Budget Appropriation and Public Finance Act. Then, of course, reporting part, public sector accounting standard. There are 2 sessions which is really which is going to be delivered by Dr. Anil Fernando. Then the performance reporting. Then the issues in performance reporting. Week number 10, local government and accountability and monitoring role of the and the Auditor General role, of course. And recent trends in public sector accounting and financial management also. These 3 will be really, I hope to invite guest lecturers, maybe 2 lecturers, we'll see. But finally, I will do the review. With regard to the evaluation, final examination 30 marks, group project 70 marks and 30. I didn't finalize yet the group project, but I thought of, since we have a small group, just to have a one project report or 2 project report, just to reduce your reduce the weightage of workload. But anyhow, we have to do some continuous assessment. That's why we include project report. We will see what we can do when we really get all the students, the number, the maximum number. They will decide. My idea is just to have a very 2 group small project, and my expectation is to reduce the workload also with regard to this project, because you have other works and other projects, other assignments. We'll see. We'll have a discussion on that matter later on. Basically, we'll have a discussion on 3rd week. I have given here at the beginning of 3rd week lecture. We will talk about that. I also will think about what I will do. That's about the course outline. Then we'll come to the straightforward today's lecture. It's about introduction, public sector accounting and finance, the subject. So of course we should have a scope. First of all, explain the scope of the subject. Then the objective of public sector accounting, and explain the type of information produced by public sector accounting, and state the uses of public sector information and their needs, and explain the concept of privatization and new public management. Of course, this privatization is a little outdated. I would say outdated concept. I think we did privatization about 1990s. But nowadays we don't talk about privatization. We talk about new public management. I will be explaining what is new public management briefly the last part of this lecture. But I will discuss a little bit about privatization also, advantages and disadvantages. But I would say Nowadays, this is not much popular. First of all, we look at the definition of terms just to understand the scope. The main word here is the public sector. So public sector is all organizations which are not privately owned, and you can understand not privately owned and operated, but which are established, run and financed by government on behalf of the public. So basically public sector means whatever the organization run or operated by government and financed by government on behalf of the public. So thereby public sector organizations are really to serve for the public. Anyway, come back to the second one. Government refers to the collection of public institutions established and given the authority to run the affairs of a country. It is a system of governance and includes the body of individuals who are authorized to administer the laws of a nation. So basically, government means collection of public institutions, and the government is responsible for administering the laws of a nation. Then there is another word, government accounting refers to all financial documents and reports of public institutions. Almost public sector accounting and government accounting are almost same. Institutions that relate to the collection of taxpayers' money, the analysis of control, expenditure, administration, trust funds, management of government stores, and all the financial responsibilities and duties relevant of organization. Basically, when you say government accounting, it covers all documents and records of public institutions. Some people really distinguish between public sector and the government sector. For example, when you say public sector, it includes all the institutions. Maybe, statutories like corporations, example, water board, electricity board, and other authorities like harbor, other authorities and commissions. When you discuss those organizations, when you talk about government, some textbooks really exclude those organizations. When you say public sector, they put everything together. Then government accounting, you will understand government accounting means recording, keeping recording like financial reporting, documentation and records. So thereby, when you talk about the documentation and records, usual definition of accounting: recording, analyzing, classifying, summarizing, communicating, interpretation is there. Then all transaction, all the receipt, transfer of dispositions of public funds and property. But what I want to highlight by using this transaction, when you say the accounting, public sector accounting or the government accounting, it involves, I would say, macro level of organization, not micro. And these organizations are really, all these organizations are serving for one purpose. When you take all the organization, like say group of company, under group of company you will have what you call SBUs, strategic business units. All these units are really all these units should working towards one direction. We call goal congruence. Then only group directions, group strategies or group objectives being achieved. Likewise, when you look at this government sector or the public sector organization, all organizations should work towards one direction. That is to achieve the country's economic growth, in very briefly. So thereby, when you look at this way, the accounting aspect has to be, what I'm trying to say is that, computerized, IT based, e-government. If you look at about 10 years ago, some of the government institutions really, they didn't have any well developed IT system. Certain organizations work really manual. For example, in the, what they call land commission, all the land information about land they had manually, physical file. That is one aspect. The other one is, since all government institutions are working towards one direction, it is essential for government organization to integrate. So integrated systems are required. So I think today's challenge is how we are going to really integrate those organizations, how we are going to really computerize, introduce systems for these organizations. I think when you look at the government sector organization, for example, Inland Revenue and Excise Department and Customs, of course, they have introduced their own mechanism, main IT system. We call it Inland Revenue, they call it RAMIS, Revenue Administration Management Information System. Even Excise Department, I think there is a particular system. Custom also, they introduce a particular system. And Ministry of Finance, there is another project going on, ITMIS. The purpose of ITMIS is to coordinate, but the project is little bit, failure. I would say it's not really, we don't have the expected results. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the current challenge of our government, the Sri Lankan situation, to computerize these, to introduce a system, softwares, integrating all these institutions, I think will have more benefits, more information, more fruitful public sector accounting. Okay. Then the nature and objective of the government accounting, basically we look at from the government perspective. First one, to fulfill the legal requirement, that is just to comply with the, for example, constitution of the country. Here it says that laws require that government accounts are prepared and audited annually. You have to prepare the accounts and audit account annually, and there are certain monitoring mechanism, COPA, Committee on Public Accounts, and COPE, Committee on Public Enterprises. COPA is related to government departments. COPE is related to government authorities and corporations. You know this COPE committee reports and all that. So if you have the accounts, you can do that. To perform the stewardship functions, that is the responsibility of managing resources without waste. The ruling government is steward of the resources and finance of the nation. Government has to give accounts of how these finances are used. Then they enable government to plan well future activities, the planning, to provide a process of controlling, as usual, planning, controlling, to provide means by which actual performance may be compared with the actual results, targets you compare with the actual results, and evaluate economy efficiency, effectiveness. 3 is very important in public sector scenario. So what I want to communicate you is that by providing this slide, just to say that accounting has a major role with regard to legal adherence to legal requirements, stewardships, planning aspects, controlling aspects, controlling and corrective actions, actual comparison of actual and the targets, and also whether the particular activities are really efficient, effective, and economic. Then we'll just look at the public sector accounting in broader way, demonstrating the same thing but different wordings. Conform with the law, establish rules and regulation, measure current performance, providing useful information for the efficient control and effective management government operations, facilitating audit exercise to be carried out, planning future operation and appraising those in the authority in efficiency and effective and economic story. So those are also in line with the same line, but different wording. I don't take much time, but I will little bit take more time to explain the objective. Objectives are much more specific. You will have a big list since it's a, but you can prepare many more, few items. Ascertain the legal legitimacy of transaction and their compliance with the established norms and regulations and statutes. Accounting will help. As I explain, the legitimacy, acceptance, social acceptance. Then the providing evidence of stewardships, again planning and controlling, assisting objective and timely report. Whatever the reports you may prepare, but report has to be within the specified time period. You can remember the accounting standards. Likewise, there is a specified time period. Provide basis for decision making, maybe policy matters, maybe macro level decisions, even sometimes micro level decisions you can take based on public sector accounting, whether to provide more welfare oriented facilities, to provide water projects, whatever some other road developments, that kind of decisions are possible if you have the very good accounting information system. Enhancing the appraisal of efficiency of management, that is value addition. Highlight the various sources of revenue and receivable and expenditure to be incurred. This means that sources of revenue, receivable and the expenditures to be incurred. That means here we are talking about the budgetary aspect. So just because of accounting, we talk about the budgets in government public sector. Identify the sources of funding, whether to borrow locally, foreign, I think that's clear. Evaluating three E's, ensuring the costs are matched by at least equivalent benefits accruing. Therefore, meaning is that at least your cost should cover equivalent benefits. You should have a, to make a project or the institution feasible, at least you should cover the cost. Then the providing the cost benefit analysis here, they're providing the detail of outstanding long-term comments and financial obligations, your liabilities and financial obligations, long-term commitments. But one barrier, there is one barrier of the existing system. Now, when you look at the existing system of the public sector, especially the department, not the authorities and corporation, they are adopting the cash basis. The public sector organizations, departments, ministries all adopt cash basis, not the accrual basis. You have to remember, if there is no accrual basis, you don't have a balance sheet. That is the logic. So thereby, when you look at Sri Lankan context, since we are not fully implement the accrual accounting aspect or the accounting accrual basis to the public sector organization, achieving this objective is questionable. That's why I can remember earlier Prime Minister, one day in Parliament, he said that, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, we don't have the full figures of our liabilities. We don't have our total liabilities, meaning is that they don't know what are their total financial commitments and obligations. Obligation means liabilities really. So if you have a very good accrual system, you will have a balance sheet. But just because of that weakness, I think very difficult to achieve this one. Then the providing the means by which actual performance may be compared with the set targets and offering solution to the various bottlenecks and problem identified. This is part of, I would say, management accounting. So here you are trying to identify the bottlenecks. How we are going to identify the bottlenecks? You have to compare your targets with actuals. For example, say divisional secretary level. So time taken to issue and issue a really a copy of a birth certificate. You may compare the given targets. You may say that okay, we are issuing the certificates, copy of that within 30 minutes. So what is the actual time taken? Even a government, RMV, what do you call motor vehicle department. So what is the time taken to issue a particular CR? CR means certificate of registration for a vehicle. Something like that. You may compare those and you can think about bottlenecks and problems. So that will help you to really eliminate non-value adding activities, and so you can provide a more public sector, more service to the public if you really use this accounting in an effective and efficient manner. So those are the objectives. What I want to communicate by using this slide, basically, if you have a very good accounting system, we can provide more services. So why we can't provide a good service? Because we don't have a good accounting systems. So thereby, nowadays, I think that may be one challenge present government even facing. Now, for example, in this this situation, this environment, COVID-19 situation, to distribute this rupees 5,000, how it was difficult. Why it was difficult? Because you don't have a system. You don't have the data. If you have the data, for example, at least those who received this Samurdhi and their bank account information, very simple, they can transfer the money. So if you look at the developed countries, all these informations are there. It's a matter of it won't take much time to just help the poor people. So thereby, our country, I think, needs more radical change with regard to the database and the IT system. Hope that you can understand what I'm telling. I don't think that I'm too fast. What I want to communicate, all these slides are basic fundamentals. You may learn same concepts, but by using different words. Even the government sector accounting, we are talking about under introduction chapter, we talk about planning, organizing, controlling, how accounting contributes to this planning, organizing, controlling. Planning means the country requirements, public needs, how we are going to plan. Different needs are there, and how we organize and how we control. Control means you compare actuals and the targets, expected things, and take corrective actions. That's accounting basically. Then we have the types of public sector organization. Basically, there are 4 layers. 4 layers. One is international. We call multi-state entities or partnerships. Certain organizations we have we spread into other countries. For example, embassy. For example, our foreign ministry will have international other partnerships. Then the national and independent states. That means all institutions which are coming under the I would say central government. Sri Lankan Water Board, Electricity, Inland Revenue, all those are all national schools. National schools are coming under independent states, and regional province and state within the national states. Regional, then example, Palasabha, Southern Province, Western Province, etc. Then the local coming under the municipalities, example, urban council, etc. Those are the type of public sector organization. I don't think I should take more time to explain this. Then same layer, 4 layers, we divide into 3 parts. Central government. Board authorities, commissions, local governments, three parts. The same four layers we are trying to just put into the three categories. Central government includes all department, ministries, agencies of the government that are integral part of the structure and are accountable to and report directly to the central authority. So they have the legislature, council, cabinet, executive head, something like that. For example, all the department will have the secretary, or maybe divisional or whatever the head, like CEO, and they are reporting to the cabinet, and cabinet is reporting to the parliament, likewise. So although these organizations should run according to the legislation, maybe finance act, maybe code of act, අපි කියන ආයතන සංග්‍රහය කියලා. ඒකට අනුව කරගෙන යන්න වෙනත් මොනවා හරි circular නීති රීති තියෙනවනේ. So you have to conduct. They might have a council also in your organizations, like our university council, just to govern this. Then the other one is board, authorities, and commissions. Consist of public organizations that are clearly part of the government and deliver public programs, goods, services, but that exists as separate organization in their own right. Possibly legal entities operate with a partial degree of operational independence. Now, when you say board, authorities, and commissions, basically they are running, they are operated, or I would say they are operating in an independent manner. They have their own way of managing. They have their own operational manual. They have their own way of making payments, recruitments, like universities, water board, electricity board, other authorities like Warai Harbour. So those institutions will have the independence. So those organizations will manage in a different way, but established under a Parliament Act. So water board is established under the particular act likewise. Then they often, but not necessarily, are headed by a board of directors. Certain cases you might have a board of directors, maybe commissions or other appointed body. Examples are electoral commissions. Chanda commission. Likewise, you might have different people like boards, director boards, commissions. Maybe in university we call it council. We have a council which is headed by the vice chancellor, and there are members, internal members, and appointed members. Then local government, this is made up of the local authorities such as metropolitans and assemblies, municipalities, district assemblies like divisional secretaries, etc. So those are the type of public sector organization, basically central government, board of authorities, and local government. But there are other, these are types. Remember, there are other ways of classifying. There are other ways of classifying. Here we talk about a different we are just looking at a different perspective, and we are just classifying the organization into four. But if you look at other variables like male, female, same group you can classify into by using different variables and with different purposes. Okay. Then we need to understand why public sector organization exists for the following reasons. Why there is a public? Why such organizations? What is the reasons for their survival or the establishment? First one is to provide goods and services. And you provide the goods and services, but you don't consider the purchasing power. That's why it says individuals and institutional consumers, regardless of their ability to pay. That means without considering the purchasing power, government will provide will provide goods or services. For example, water. To provide goods and services whose investment capital is quite high. Here we talk about huge investment but low return, low financial return. I would say the word low financial return, but not the social benefit. If you look at the social benefit, it's much more. Therefore, capital is huge, return is low, private sector not motivated. So thereby, such ventures, government should come and really interfere and invest. Then to achieve the net social benefit rather than net profit, so as to ensure the equity of access to meeting needs of water, electricity, food, shelter, transport, health, and communication. So to provide a social benefit rather than the profit, water, electricity. I think nowadays under new public management, since this new public management really started from England, Margaret Thatcher. When the England faces social welfare, huge cost, huge burden for their budget, annual budget, what they did was they really convert public sector organization into a new way of managing. I will discuss that later. Nowadays, water, electricity, even transport, health, shelter, that is housing. I think they are thinking about especially this water, electricity, new public management. Of course, communication, we did the privatization long years back. Then to correct, here you can understand just to provide the social benefits. And you will understand, especially this COVID-19 situation, pandemic situation, health, the country's health system, how really this particular system contributed to manage, eradicate, and control this particular situation. So thereby, social benefits, nothing else, not the profit. To correct inequalities which exist among various social classes and communities. Here we talk about distribution of gross domestic product. We call it GDP in an equal manner. සාධාරණ විදිහට බෙදාහරන එක තමයි මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ. To inequalities. To correct inequalities. That means to make it to ensure that equal distribution or fair way of distributions. I think inland revenue is a classic example here in this case. Maybe certain Samurdhi minister, I don't know, Samurdhi, the particular department, Samurdhi or whatever, all these fertilizer, pre-fertilizer distribution, all these are coming under those projects or the institutions. To influence future social and political, economics and financial, and therefore optimum growth of the economy, which is very important. We have certain organizations, public sector organizations, to ensure the growth of the economy. Environmental authority, maybe police, maybe the three forces, a central bank, maybe certain social, particular, what do you call, Samaj Seva Department, something like that. So those organizations are really to have the growth, optimal growth of the economy. I think these slides explain you reasons. Basically, there are 5 reasons. First one is goods and services provided by those organizations, irrespective of, I would say, purchasing power, ability to pay. Second one is investments which are really huge and expected low financial returns. Private sector is not motivated, so thereby government has to really come into the operation. Third one is really we focus on social benefits like electricity, water, etc. Then other one is just to eradicate, just to eliminate inequalities. There are certain organizations, and also there are certain organizations which are focusing optimal growth of the economy. So those are the 5 reasons why public sector organizations really there. Then ways by which government control public companies. Now, you know, public companies are really, I would say, quoted companies, public companies. Public company means companies which are really, which collect money from public. Listed companies, in simply listed companies. How do they control? Government powers can be exercised to the appointment of chief executive and members, boards of management, certain organizations. Government can exercise control by giving specific direction concerning. Here we have to remember there may be public companies which are really owned by the government also. Public companies, majority of shareholders owned by the government, Sri Lanka Telecom. Example. So they have a government chairman. I think you can remember the previous chairman of Sri Lanka Telecom, brother of the previous president. Then the government can exercise control by giving specific directions concerning price, production, cost, and social goals. For example, gas and certain commodities which are really controlled by the trade fair, Ministry of Trade or something. Government can exercise control by giving specific directions. Then third one is government uses submissions of annual reports as an opportunity to evaluate the performance of enterprise. You have to submit a report. For example, all banks, private sector banks should submit their annual reports, financial statements to the monetary boards of the central government, central bank. The public companies need to obtain government approvals and guarantees for long-term loans. Public companies need to obtain government approvals and guarantees for long-term. Certain cases, maybe foreign cases, if you get a huge fund for your organization, foreign fund grant, you have to get the government approval. Then the public companies need to obtain government approval for their annual budgets. Certain organizations, public companies, maybe basically governments related organizations. Government may specify the economic roles, state enterprises, and target rates of their returns and etc. The government will really try to control certain public companies just to ensure that all these public companies are working towards the country's direction. So that is important. There is a role for the government with regard to managing the control in the public companies also. Then the types of information produced by public sector organization. I think I have categorized this into statutory information, financing information, planning information, budgetary information, control information, etc. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are mandatory information that public sector organizations are required, produced by each of laws and this thing. The financial information, of course, classic exam. These are information demanded by donors and other funding agencies. Financial information, I think you can refer to the reports which I have attached in the LMS. This information focuses accountability, performance, evaluation, objective of public interest of the program. Planning information, some information related to, I have taken the Ghana case related to this planning. Budgetary information relates to the utilization of budgets is instruments of national economic management. Budgetary information, maybe the central government budgets, maybe the what do you call, say, Palas Sabha budgets, maybe the municipalities, all these budgets, budgetary information. Control information, central government monitoring expenditure during the year done by the Treasury, which provides regular reports on what has been really spent and estimated, maybe consolidated financial statement, consolidated fund, etc. Control is exercised through a cash limits that provide a system of government expenditure during the financial system. In certain cases, we have a control. What we just like a petty cash system, we just provide a limit because the advantage of cash basis is this: once you allocate certain amount of money for a particular department, they can't spend more than that. Say, for example, Ministry of Education given a say 200 rupees budget for 2000 say 2020 year. So they can't spend this more than 100 rupees, 100 billion, trillion, whatever. They can't spend. That's the advantage of cash basis. They can't spend more than that. So thereby, in a way, there is a positive side of the cash basis, and also there are negative sides. Okay. Then I think next one is use public sector financial information. There are different stakeholders. These stakeholders are really, much more, but I have listed few. Donor community. What they expect is whether organization objects are pursued, plans and targets are attainable. That is the donor community. For example, I would say, I know my experience, Sri Lanka Water Board, I have many experience because I did my PhD there. My thesis was based on that particular organization. There are different donors, maybe Netherlands, Australia, some other countries. They donate money, grants, loans. So they just want to see the progress. Maybe certain case there's a project called non-revenue water. For the non-revenue water, do you know the meaning of non-revenue water? Non-revenue water means, suppose you have to remember, you take the water freely. You are not paying. So there are, as management accounting costing, you talk about the cost of the direct material. Water board is getting material, that is water, freely. Water board, no cost. You take this water and process, you put some chemical and clean water, because your water board is responsible for producing drinking water. එකට හේතුව තමයි 1948 විතර අපේ රටේ diseases, waterborne diseases ආවා. Waterborne diseases එනකොට දේශපාලන වශයෙන් තීරණය කරා ඒකෙන් වළකින්න. You got the funding also from donor countries. So water board really received huge amount of money, and they established the water board, and just to provide the drinking water for the people. So you produce the water and you bring the water, and you end customer is we. So there is a cost of producing water, even though material cost is water is free. So when you produce say 100 liters, say tons, whatever, water, you know that 40% lost. We call it normal loss, abnormal loss. Can you remember the process account? You insert 100, say, liters. When you deliver these 100 liters at the point of consumer, end user, you deliver only 60 liters. So thereby, you know that this loss absorbed by the 60 liters. So thereby what happened? Water price is going up. So thereby there are projects going on to reduce the non-revenue water. When you look at the one KPI of water board is this non-revenue water. If you look at the last 10 years, 20 years reports, non-revenue water, they just slightly increase. 40.3 39.5 එනවා. I 39.5 remain same. Likewise, you know, there is very slightly improved. How can you really repair it? No. My proposal was just to think about other way of distributing drinking water. නේද? වතුරාවේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ හොදන්නනේ ගෙදර වැඩියෙන්නේ. ඒතර අච්චර කොස්ට් එකක් දීලා why you are producing such a, you know, spending more money to produce water just for cleaning. So that was the one argument ideal. Anyway, so donor communities are expecting, so they are just preparing reports, they are just windowing the report just to, you know, satisfy the donor communities. But really, real situation is maybe different from the what is being reported. Anyway, donor community is interested in whether to achieve or not. Media, how government financial information impacts on all aspects of society. Likewise, we can continue this scenario. So what I will do is today I will stop at this point. I will make this slides recording available for you. Any questions? Those who really join later, there are 11 participants including me. I think Johan, Piumi, Dihan, Nusuki ne ekatti hitiya. ඉතින් මේක පොඩ්ඩක් අපි බලමු ඉදිරියට. You do you have any connection problem? No, ne? Can you hear me? Any problem you want to really? Did I really too fast? මොකද මේක අපිට අලුත් මේවා කරනවා අපි ටිකක් fast යනවා සමහරලාට. ඉතින් අපි හිතන ඕගලන්ට තේරෙනවා ඇති කියලා එහෙමත් හිතලා යනවා. Not like lecture no. lecture එකේදී නම් මූණ පේනකොට නේ අපිට තේරෙනවා ඇඹරෙනකොට තේරෙනවා මේ තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ අපි වැරෙන්නේ මොකක් හරි කියලා දැන් මේකේ control එකක් නැහැ පොඩ්ඩක්. Anyway, but it's not a big thing here. This subject is much more, you know, not complex, very easy. We need to understand the rules, regulations, that's all. රජයේ සේවයට වැඩ ගියාම rules regulation follow කරන්නයි කියලා කියන්නේ නේ. එහෙම නේද? ඉතින් if you have any questions, you can just raise. Otherwise, shall I finish this session for today, and we will have the next session next week. But I can report to the department head. There were 10 students. Yes.
Sir, will we continue lectures online, or will we have exams in?
So for today, that's all.
No, sir, I mean going forward. So will our first semester exams be there in school? Or?
That was a question. I saw an email saying that department head, we don't know what they will do really. Not yet finalized. There are instructions from the UGC to have the important exams June and July. There is a email. Email is really being circulated, and Dean has forwarded that email to us even. What is sent by the Vice Chancellor? I think Vice Chancellor have received the email from the UGC. So thereby there is a possibility. I don't know really. We will see. But the faculty. So all these matters we need to, you know, faculty decisions, faculty board decisions. So we'll see. But anyway, if there is exam, I think you will be given certain reasonable time for you to study. Don't worry about that matter.
Okay. Thank you.
There is a requirement. There's a requirements in letter sent by the UGC, June, July. But of course, I know that June 1 is not possible for us, no, because today is 16th. We should have enough time to at least 2 weeks to study. We'll see.
Okay.
If that is the case, we have to stop the sessions and we'll have the exam. But it's not yet finalized. We'll see. Any other question? I hope that you all are working at home or some are going. Anybody really who are going for work physically? Ayoma? Janit?
I am going for work now.
You are going?
Yes.
All right, okay. Is there any my research student in this group? No. You have submitted. You have to submit the research proposal, no? Hello.
On the before 15th. Oh, sorry, 21st.
No one is my group. Is there anyone? Jani, my group. I don't know. Nusuki.
Yeah, sir.
You are doing with me? No.
No, sir.
All right. Then any question for the time being? If you don't have any question, we will wind up. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.